just want to know what Black Cat did with the diamond bits.
Well, she probably got herself one expensive dildo.
That's what I was thinking.
That's what I'm thinking. When only the best will do.
Hello, and welcome to the Four Color Nerds Comic Podcast, episode 67. I'm Carissa, and I'm joined by some other nerds, Rory,
Yo.
Matt,
Howdy.
and Ryan.
Hello.
Together, we take on this week's comics. Each week, we read a variety of comics and gather here to discuss them. This is a review show, so there will be spoilers. If you don't want to hear spoilers, take a break now, go read your week's books, and then come on back. Each week, one of us picks their favorite book, and that's our pick of the week. This week, I am that nerd, and this week, the pick of the week goes to Unworthy Thor, number 5. I totally stole it from someone else. Our companion song is Don't Say a Word by Sonata Arctica, because the lyrics, if you listen closely, touch on a little bit of everything that's in this issue, but in particular, he talks about being their god. There's some line about doing what your morals are and do the noble thing because that's what your mama says, which I think touches on a lot of this whole arc that we've had with Unworthy Thor. And I think it really keys in on to some of the things that happen in his opinion that are revealed in this issue. So take a listen. Sonata Arctica is some nice Finnish metal for you all. The Unworthy Thor, number 5, Marvel Comics, The Whisper, written by Jason Aaron, pencils and inks by Oliver Copiel. I'm just going to go with that. Kim Jacinto and Pascal Alex. Man, people. Alex, I'm going with. Colors by Matt Lopez and J. David Ramos. I stole this. Who was this? Was this you, Ryan?
Matt and I were fighting over who was going to get it, but it ended up going to you.
Such a good book.
So good.
You know what? I actually was having a hard time picking which one it was going to be. And I was in between a few, and it was one of them. And I went to bed, and I just woke up still thinking about it. And so I'm like, okay, then that's my pick of the week. There's a lot going on in this issue. I don't know if I was the only one, and I'm guessing that I probably was, because I don't remember when he originally lost the hammer. But I didn't realize that the Watcher was Nick Fury. And so...
Oh.
That's back from Fear Itself?
No, it's after Fear Itself. It was that stupid secrets thing where everybody's got a dark secret.
They kind of touch on that again, and they mention that, and how, like, he's not the same person. It's not actually Nick Fury anymore, but they does share the experiences. But overall, it's chilling on the moon with its chains, and it thinks, well, it's time. Odin's son needs to be Thor again. He needs to basically get over it. I shouldn't have said that thing, and all my fault.
My cosmic bad.
So he has his hand on the hammer, and this issue is a lot of Odinson struggling with himself. Like, he feels that the hammer knows him and that he wants to take it, but and it's screaming his name. But he's like, nah, it's not mine. This is from another universe. There's all these other Thors, but it's not me. Because he has this idea in his mind from what happened. So he chooses that he's not going to take it. But Thanos' cronies are still there to, like, try to take it from him. And he's like, yeah, it's not my hammer, but it certainly ain't yours. And there's, like, a nice epic battle. The Collector, first of all, the Collector is drawn super creepy in this issue. Like a crazy person. He's like, no, you're not going anywhere. And, like, Thor's there, and he's setting everyone free and totally messing with it. And the part I thought that was really creepy when it comes to the Collector, because Odinson basically transports Asgard away, and so he loses it in his collection. And there's I'm not sure what kind of alien that is that's working for the Collector. He has this line where he's like, bring me something unique and beautiful so I can watch it die. He's like, well, sir, everything's empty, everything's gone. I'm afraid I'm the last guy here. He's like, oh, you're the last? And you see, like, this creepy craziness as he, well, you're the last, so he totally kills that guy.
So that makes you rare and beautiful.
Then you'll do.
And then everyone had to know that I thought that this scene would be hilarious, and I love it, because Thanos gets some lovin'. There's some serious this Thanos love.
Hilarious or signals the end of all creation. Either way.
So they come back and say they failed. They didn't get the hammer. He's like, came back empty-handed. You guys are fools. He's like, no, I brought you an offering. Takes out the other two, and then she reveals that she's Death, and apparently wants to get it on with
Hell. She's Hell.
Hela, but she's offering him Death because she basically wants Hell back, in which I think that's a really interesting tie between the Angela story and this. I think that's really interesting to me. Of course I would. The Thanos makeout session was a pretty interesting panel. It's like, that's going to be interesting. That's funny. I just wasn't expecting it. I liked it. I thought it was great.
I do like how they turn what is a truly horrific turn of events in the Marvel Universe into like a romance novel cover.
Right.
I did appreciate that turn.
He's got a love affair with death, so that's always been
There's some heart-to-heart with Beta Ray Bill. See, I said his name right.
Betamax Bill.
Thank you, Rory. And, he's explaining why he didn't take it. You could have picked it up if he had tried. And it's like, do you believe that you're worthy again? And he's like, no, God is worthy. And this is where you hear his whole spiel about what he thinks. Really shows that he has grown up. And the fact that he thinks that, I think, really reflects on who he is. How gods are vain and vengeful creatures. We've been worshipped, but we're not really the betters. That every god is unworthy. And I think that his reflection, is really showing, like, his growth, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Thor's refusal to lift the hammer is kind of what makes him worthy of lifting the hammer. I think that's a nice turn of writing from Jason Aaron.
And then I like how, like, I might not be Thor, even though they say you are Thor. People have been trying to talk him into it and, like, give him a pep talk. He's like, no, but, we did fight this horrible battle, so I'm thirsty. Let's go drink. And part of what made this my pick of the week is I love Thor. He's like, this tastes better than murder. He's, like, drinking out of the stein.
Oh, that was my favorite.
Power Goat.
I knew you were gonna love that dog.
I know, that dog is great.
Oh, Thor is awesome.
He was one of the deciding factors, because it's like, Thor is so great as I'm reading this. And so, they're drinking and celebrating. To me, I was like, okay, that could have just ended there. And then it goes days later and it shows someone approaching the hammer, because he left it, like, wedged into, like, this brick, like, courtyard thing. Very kind of Excalibur-esque. And apparently the world is ready for a War Thor, which I was kind of like saying that, War Thor. I was going to ask if you guys had any guesses.
Well, he's got a glove.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. It's just like a repeat of what happened with the previous Thor. When Jane Foster became Thor, they did the exact same thing with who's the Thor. I don't know who the War Thor, the Ultimate Thor, is going to be, but I'm kind of interested to find out.
Yeah, me too.
Am I the only one that throughout this whole thing just felt like there's like some fucking Slayer playing in the background or something like that?
Thor is so fucking metal. It's...
Oh.
I mean, I've said it before. It's like an issue of heavy metal come to life.
Yeah, it's so true.
Metal.
It's one reason why I went for the Finnish metal band more than the Wham that Ryan wanted.
I think it works with the whisper.
You should do the exit song of the podcast. Just do Careless Whisper.
Oh, that's great. That's all funny because he's like walking up and puts his hand on the hammer and he's like, the hammer still knows me. And that I feel the thunder and drum in my ears. I know. And then if we were like making it like I would have it, it'd be like, dun, dun, I am Thor.
I come from the land of the ice and snow.
It's one of those growling things where he's trying to eat the microphone.
Fucking pyrotechnics going off, fucking blood everywhere.
Kind of like the last panel.
Yeah, basically.
Now it's time for the War Thor.
Yeah, War Thor.
This book is just like a perfect blend of art and writing. There's nothing I can find to nitpick on this issue.
No, there's nothing lacking.
It's so badass and great.
I had the benefit of reading the entire thing all together because I hadn't had a chance to read through it. So I read from 1 to 5 all in one shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Such a good series. And this book is just the capstone. The art is fantastic. The writing is fantastic. And the heavy metal that you got to play in the background during the entire time is fantastic.
And
is.
the fact that it pulls together so many threads of Marvel storylines that are going for years and brings them all to one point.
I do have to say that I'm sick and tired of Thanos.
He's going to be in a movie, so he's going to be really important to the Marvel Universe for the next decade.
Yeah.
So get used to it.
Yeah, I didn't really know if he had a place in this, but that scene just kind of won me over. I mean, I would have been happy with that scene in, like, the Thanos comic series that's going on right now, or even, like, in the Guardians. I mean, I enjoyed it for the silliness and over the top that it was. It did feel kind of weird in the middle of the Thor comic.
At least they fixed his legs, though. At least he doesn't look all, like, misformed in this one. His proportions are accurate.
See, you keep saying that it's cute and funny when they're making out, and I do not get that sense at all. I get a sense of cosmic dread and hell on earth is coming.
Yes, story-wise, you are correct. But overall, as like a fan, it's silly and cute, I think. You know, just because it's Thanos. He's supposed to be scary, and just seeing the Mad Titan making out to me is humorous. I don't know why.
Thanos' whole story is a love story. I mean, his whole thing is like a soliloquy to death.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing all of this for love. It's just that his love will, bring about the destruction of all existence and eternity.
So Thanos is very emo, is what you're saying.
No, quite the opposite of that. Everyone else is emo when Thanos gets his way.
I gave this 5. This tastes better than murder.
That's what I was gonna use.
Wahaha.
I will give it 5. Gore was right.
I'm going to give this 5, then you'll do.
I will give it 5 heavy metal riffs at the end of the comic.
Damn, we got all 5s right there. Hey.
All 5s, one of our few unanimous 5-star books.
We actually agreed about some shit.
And what's funny is the only other one I can think of was Doctor Strange, which was also written by Jason Aaron. So.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Thor is not the only living god walking the earth. So over to the DC Universe, over to Detective Comics number 953 from DC Comics, League of Shadows Part 3, Kiss of the Dragon, written by James Tynion IV, pencils and inks by Christian Deuce and Fernando Blanco, colors by Alex Sinclair and Alan Pasalacqua. So this is basically the continuing story of what a fucking thunder cunt Lady Shiva is. She's the devil, essentially. She and her forces are in Gotham City wreaking hell and using a Joker attack as kind of the cover for it. Jim Gordon is going off on a vacation, he gets pulled back, and he's convinced that there's a massive Joker attack going on because there's hundreds of people that have been gassed, Joker venom, and the city's on fire, and all the bridges are shut down. You know, very classic Joker. And Batman's explaining to him that no, this is just a feint. And then he kind of like gestures out the window. Like, I actually like this scene where he gestures out the city on fire. He's like, this is the feint? You know, what's the attack? Well, and then you get to see the attack. You get kind of a flashback. And this part is actually, I thought, Carissa, you would really like these next couple parts here. It's actually really heartbreaking where Lady Shiva is training and fighting with Orphan, and she's basically beating the shit out of her and telling her that she's being distracted, and she pulls that little scarf thing she has that she thinks is from her mother. She's like, did you think there was anyone in the world that cared about you? You know, no one does. This isn't from your mother. This is like a piece of cloth from someone I killed, and I meant to burn it, but you took it before I could, which is just brutal, the way that she tears down Cassandra.
That's a dude.
Is that? I thought that was...
No, that's the person that trained her. I was thinking it was her father, because her father trains her, but that's a dude.
Oh, I thought that was just a weird drawing of Lady Shiva. It's not Lady Shiva, but don't worry, she gets to be plenty evil in this issue. So then you actually get, she's thinking back to that scene where the person is being exceptionally cruel to her, and Clayface is kind of giving her a pep talk that she doesn't have to talk, and since he became Clayface, he's not so good at talking anymore. And he actually gives her like a copy of like the complete works of Shakespeare, because he's like, this helped me find my voice when I was younger, so maybe it'll help you. And he's like, you know, Batman sent me here to guard you, but there's no way I could stop you if you wanted to leave, so I'm not even going to try, just be safe out there. And she splits to go find Lady Shiva, and that's when the ninjas show up and the murders start. The ninjas show up to fight Clayface. I don't know if he's actually dead or just in pieces on the floor, but they fuck him up pretty good.
Aww.
And then you've always had these things with Orphan talking about how she could beat the Bat, and she and Batman have this fight where he's like, I'm not going to fight you, and she just proceeds to beat the hell out of him, which is kind of interesting. You see this stagger of progression of who you think is the best fighter. Like Batman, you think is the best fighter, right? And then Cassandra unleashes on him. She doesn't kill him, but she does Sparta kick him off the side of a building. And of course, he grabs onto a gargoyle, which is actually a pretty cool shot of him hanging there. And then you have a shot where Batwoman shows up and sees all those pieces of Clayface lying on the ground, and then she gets attacked by ninjas and taken to her father's cell for another heartrending piece of cruelty, where her dad, who's in the jail, who was telling them the League of Shadows is coming and was trying to raise that Bat army, and Batman told him the League of Shadows wasn't real. So the League of Shadows drags in front of him and drives a sword through her stomach as she's asking her dad to like help her, and she doesn't understand what's going on. So there's that. Shiva is destroying every member of Detective Comics in here. And then you finally get the actual confrontation between her and Orphan in whatever version of like Times Square that Gotham has. And she she's telling her that they both have the ability to see death. And they illustrate this in those panels with those like red circles that show like the vital points you can strike at. And Shiva is kind of berating her and telling her that the power is useless if she pulls back at the last moment and doesn't strike. And she's trying to talk to her, and Shiva is like, no, words are not your language. That's not what I taught you. I taught you to fight. That's how you express yourself. So they start fighting, and Shiva is pissed because Orphan still won't strike at her to kill her. She knocks her out in the street, and with another kind of cruel blow, they're like, should we drag her off and take her with the others? Shiva's like, no, leave the garbage on the street. We have more important things to deal with. Which is just so fucking brutal, right? And then here's another one that I thought would kind of rip your heart out, is Batman gets a call from Alfred, where he's like, sir, someone's been in the Batcave. You need to get here really fast. And then you just kind of hear Alfred screaming. So Batman is like driving as fast as he can to get to the Batcave to find out what the hell is going on, and seeing all the images of all of his team fallen. Clayface cut to pieces, they're like stabbed through the stomach, Orphan lying beaten on the streets, and you get a reveal of who's there to help him, which is Ra's al Ghul, which is kind of a cool panel at the end where Ra's al Ghul is standing in the Batcave. I really liked that tie together. Thought this issue really showed the cruelty of Lady Shiva, that not only can she fight you, she will destroy your mind and your soul as well. I really liked it. I thought it was pretty spectacular. Matt, what'd you think of it?
Well, I love that Ra's al Ghul is here. This is Batman's best frenemy. I am not terribly happy about the storyline, but I think that it was well written. I think the art was fantastic. I love how these guys are drawing Batman, and his fucking costume is like the best version of the Bat costume, I think, right now anyways. But this whole I'm gonna destroy the Bat family thing is getting a little old, because it seems to be that they just did this at the beginning of the New 52 or somewhere around the middle of it. And now granted, the New 52 doesn't exist anymore, but it's just a little tiring. I'm like, you take the most dangerous people in Gotham and, oh, a couple of the like minion ninjas can take them down. And I'm like, fuck that. No, that's inaccurate and stupid. I'm like, these guys are badasses and can take on anybody, but these people show up. And I'm like, that's like the Hand taking out the X-Men. I'm like, no, bullshit. These people were personally trained by Batman and Batwoman. I understand why they're doing it. They need to do it, but it's just a little unbelievable. But the way they did it, I felt was pretty good. I'm just tired of the storyline of, I know, I'll destroy Batman's family. And then, in a week, you'll be back together again.
I mean, that's kind of the curse of comics, right? Is you're caught in these classic storylines that keep repeating every couple years.
But I mean, there's other storylines they could have repeated that they didn't literally just do. The death of the family thing seems to be what they're doing again.
Yeah, well, I mean, death of the family was really more the literal being killed in the streets. It was the death of those familial bonds that the Joker went in and destroyed those. And this one is
literally trying to kill them.
Lady Shiva is literally shoving a sword in your stomach and leaving you bleeding out in the streets.
Yeah.
And being exceptionally cruel to her daughter to try and awaken the inner assassin within her, I guess.
She's a bitch.
Yeah, she is. She's horrible.
She should read some comics, though, because I think time and time again it shows that when you do something like that, all it means is that they're going to get revenge on you and be even more dedicated to the cause of helping people.
Maybe it'll be a moment to grow on after school special at the end, but...
She'll do a ballet to it.
It'll be all movement.
I would give it 4.5. Who else but Ra's al Ghul?
God damn it. I will give it for... Who is that guy behind Ra's al Ghul? He's in the comics all the damn time. And he was even in the show, but I can't remember his goddamn name.
Giant bruiser guy with the
his
no
bodyguard.
shirt.
Yep.
All right.
I believe Matt is next.
Sort of the opposite of the death of the family, the destruction of bonds, we go over to Marvel.
Yep, with Extraordinary X-Men number 20.
It opens with Storm Ass.
Storm ass. That's all you think about. It's just her ass. She's just a piece of meat.
That's how it just opens up. It's just a shot round her butt.
Well, sex sells. Got Extraordinary X-Men number 20 by Marvel Comics, written by Jeff Lemire, pencils and inks by Victor Abinez, colors by J. David Ramos. This book, for one thing, I've been out of the X-Men for a little while because I didn't like where they went with the Avengers versus X-Men, so I've read maybe 4 books that have occurred in between there. I'm a little lost, but this particular book I thought was really kind of nostalgic.
I feel like this is a return to classic X-Men, bringing back the good X-Men feelings.
This is like such a Claremont issue. I literally had flashbacks to reading literal classic X-Men or, books that I read when they weren't classic X-Men, but they were new and it was the 80s. It had that kind of feel from back in the day. Have everybody packing up and leaving the X-Haven and going back to Earth. It's the kind of the precursor to the Resurrection books, which I'm really fucking excited for because I'm really hoping I'm not let down. They look like they're bringing back some classic X-Men feels and I'm really hoping for that. But we've got got, Sentinel fighting. We've got a classic, not completely classic group of X-Men, but with some of the newer people in it. But we end up at the end of the book with a classic Claremont scene.
Oh, my heart leapt with joy when I saw this part.
Fucking playing baseball. It was just so, oh my god, it's the X-Men. I love this. And I haven't felt looking at an X-Men book in probably, 15, 20 years that I'm reading the X-Men. And I felt that at the end of this. I'm really hoping that they carry this on into the Resurrection stories, that feel. There's been a couple of little clues and hints they popped with like their generations that even classic Wolverine is coming back, which I'll be totally happy with. I like where they're going with this, and the book itself was a quick read, good art, classic elements, and a classic Chris Claremont ending. It's a good, let's cap off what we've had, and now let's move forward with what Resurrection is going to be, hopefully true to the fans.
I think Old Man Logan playing baseball was just weird. Like, oh, he's so grumpy.
But even Old Man Logan saw that classic banter with Nightcrawler.
This is the X-Men I know and remember kind of feel. I did enjoy it. X-Men is what really got me into comics, so I really did enjoy this. Though it is missing, my personal take, it's missing some key characters that I would like to see, but I did enjoy it. I did think it was funny that it did open on Storm's ass. Though they can get rid of Magica, I don't really care for her.
Oh, she's my favorite X-Men.
I liked it. There wasn't a whole hell of a lot going on plot-wise, really. So that was kind of the downside. It's like, they're kind of just like resetting after the whole X-Men versus Inhumans bullshit.
What this book kind of reminds me of is the end of The Princess Bride, where like the grandfather puts the book away, puts it on the shelf, and kind of like leaves you with like almost like a warm emotional hug.
Yeah.
That's what this book is. It's putting all the pieces back on the shelf so that they can take them and do what they want with them, and leaving you with classic X-Men feels.
Very true.
It's a cozy denouement.
Oh, what?
The denouement is the thing at the end of the stories that tells you how everything ends up.
Okay. Fancy.
I'm the only person who paid attention in English class.
Yep.
Me fell English? That's impossible.
It was definitely good. I enjoyed it. It was cool.
I'm hoping that behind the scenes, the fact that they are making the X-Men relevant and good again means that they're going to be coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because the thing we're learning, I think, is that the MCU drives everything.
Look at Thor's haircut.
In service to that in the end now.
Hulk's coming
back. If it happens in the movies, it will work its way into the comics. So this makes me think that they're either going to be good X-Men movies, or they're going to be integrated more into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because maybe those fucking idiots realized with Spider-Man that
exactly
by their powers combined, they can make billions of dollars.
Because I would love to see Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool in the MCU.
I don't want to see Deadpool toned down. They need to both understand there's a place for R-rated movies with comic book characters. I mean, there has been. There's a history of them. Not every fucking movie. You don't need to have Logan say fuck 17 times in the first 10 minutes of the movie. But at the same point in time, you're not going to have Captain America be around a character that says fuck 17 times in the first 10 minutes of the goddamn movie.
He'll just say language. That was the best part.
PG-13 is fine. It's just that the Fox X movies have no fucking clue what to do with these characters. It's like they've had, 3 successes maybe?
So true.
There's been some good movies, but nothing is really connected.
X-Men 2 was good.
They were like, they had a series, and then they fucked up on the third one. And then they fucked up on X-Men Origins. And then they've done okay, and then they've had a couple of fucking hits, right? But then, like, everybody's like...
Yeah, like, I don't know how they ruined the Phoenix Saga. That story wrote itself. I mean, how could you mess that up?
You just need to take a step back, read some fucking comics, call up the guys at Marvel and go, okay, you win. And just make money. Make lots and lots of fucking money.
Pull any Chris Claremont story off the shelf.
Yeah.
Film that shit how he wrote it. Boom. Truckloads of money.
True.
I'm going to give it... just because I liked it so much just for the feels that I got off of the thing. I don't think it was an exemplary book, so I'm going to not give it anything higher than a 4, but I'm going to give it 4 classic Claremont X baseball games.
Well, I gave it 3 3/4 storm butt.
I'm going to give it 3.5. It's globbering time.
I actually really love this one, so I will give it 4.5. Actually, I've got an idea.
Speaking of good ideas.
Sir, you want to take us over to...
Don't make him angry.
She.
It's just Hulk now. You don't have to refer to her as She-Hulk no more. Alright, so we got Hulk number 4, Marvel Comics, Deconstructed, Part 4, written by Mariko Tamaki, pencils and inks by Nico Leone, colors by Matt Milla. So this one's continuing off with Jennifer. So in this series, she's gotten this... I thought she was an old lady when this started off. It turns out that it's a weirdly drawn young character. And so what's happened is she's hired Jennifer to come along and defend herself from getting evicted from her home, right? So that's what's been going on in the series. Now what they do is they kind of cut us in on her back history a little bit. Maze Braun, however you say her name. And so what happened with her is it looks like she was out and she was like a yoga instructor, and then she gets jumped by these, they're actually really cool looking, I thought. They're like glow in the dark, creepy face ninjas, or like if you've ever played the game Payday 2, it looks a lot like their creepy masks they wear. For some reason, they basically like chase her into an alleyway and corner her and then kick the crap out of her, and they don't really say why. And then she's now in this building and she's got like creepy black eyes. Like other people that live in the building have the same thing, and like they've got a cop who's like talking about how this entire block gives me the creeps. What happens is Jennifer goes to talk to her about the whole thing, and then when she shows up after going through and like having trouble finding the building, and it's like really like kind of elusive and talking to some creepy old man with the weird creepy black eyes, the police are finding bodies of cops that are buried in the alleyway, and she tells her, she's like, you know, I did my best, can't protect you against this whole eviction thing. And she's like getting like really upset, and you promised, and she's like, I never promised you anything. And then she's like, I didn't hire you to tell I'm crazy. And she's like, you're not crazy. And then she kind of like flashes back to right before she gets injured from Thanos during the Civil War II. Like, so she's talking about how like, oh, there's a time when I lost stuff, and she's like fading back into her unconsciousness and like how she like got blasted by Thanos. This chick starts getting angry with her, and she's like, you promised, I don't have any choice. And then this big creepy like a junk golem, is that the right way to say to describe this?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Because she's a hoarder, right? So all the demon is like forming its body out of like all her bags of like garbage and newspapers.
Yeah, so it's like this big old junk demon creates itself. That's going to be interesting. We're going to get to see, well, I guess we should start calling her proper name Hulk now, since she's no longer She-Hulk. We're going to get to see Jennifer kick some ass next issue.
I really like She-Hulk or Hulk now. So it takes a lot of bad writing and art to make me not like a book, and I don't like this.
What?
You don't like this one?
No.
The specific
Really?
issue?
So the idea that I was under the impression was that after she got the shit kicked out of her by Thanos, she was going to go back into like a more regressive primal state. Now that would have been interesting. I just think this is like Sex and the City and Hulk. It's just not interesting to me at all.
But you like that with
It's not
Patsy
horrible.
Walker.
It's just I don't feel any connection whatsoever. This does not feel like Jennifer to me at all.
Well, that's the point. She's gone through traumatic issues, and that's what they're showing with whatever the fuck her name is, the big shadow demon chick. And I think it's an Inhuman ghetto is what the building is, because she's an Inhuman, they said at the beginning of the series. But I think what they're showing is that these people both have PTSD, and they're showing different aspects of how PTSD is handled. So Jennifer's got the PTSD from almost dying, and this chick's got it from being beaten left in the alley. They're basically showing you how two different people handle that, and then Jennifer, of course, is going to have no choice but to Hulk out. And then we're going to see finally what the covers have all been kind of leading towards is her being like a gray, more masculine looking She-Hulk, or, you know, however she ends up, you know, turning into. We're going to see what her transformation is and maybe why she's afraid of being the Hulk. Maybe there's going to be something else. But I think that's what they're going towards there is they're showing you what happens with even to somebody as big and powerful as her when you get that close to death.
I like that you mentioned the covers, because I was going to say, like, the covers haven't really been reflecting the story so far at all.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of the cover, that is one of the shittiest covers I've seen in comics in a long-ass time. It's a really bad cover.
That is a pretty bad cover, actually, now that I look at it. I like this story, actually. I did enjoy the artwork. I thought the artwork was actually probably my favorite part about it.
It's very clean.
It is kind of menacing, I will say.
Some of the facial expressions were kind of, like, lame. I was going to say, like, the scene where the cops are in the area, and it's, like, this nice, like, New York winter scene. That was like clean as fuck. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in there between all the automobiles and stuff there, all the trees. I realized they used a lot of digital rendering to make that. When I saw that, I kind of pictured in my head like walking down a winter street in New York.
Kind of going along with that theme, I did like the coloring. There's the panel where the cops find the body and you have the red light from their like you know, the lights on the top of the car bleeding into the alleyway. I thought that was really good to set, you know, the look of the scene and the emotional tone of it with the reds. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yoga instructor, when she was in the flashback, I thought she was really adorable little girl. That was really interesting. You thought she was an old woman, like, so you didn't really see that before. So I liked that kind of change in the flashback. And then the part where you're talking where she's falling into her unconscious, I really like how she looks there.
Yeah. I agree.
How Jennifer looks there. I think she looks really pretty, and I just like that movement of her falling. I really like how her hair is moving. And I don't remember the name, but you've actually described it's like superheroes and Sex in the City as a pro.
Yes, when it's done well.
When selling me on that Luna Brothers
On
comic.
Ultra. Many years ago was one of the first comics I recommended to you. But that was done well. This is not, in my opinion. But, I mean, obviously, I'm the lone man out on this one, but I'm not loving it.
So how about ratings?
Yeah, I'm down to rate it up. I'm gonna give it 3.5 glow-in-the-dark ninjas.
I'll give it 2.5, you promised.
I gave it 3 Thanos backhands.
I'll give it 4 smash.
Still in Marvel.
And it's me. It is Invincible Iron Man #5, Marvel Comics, written by Brian Michael Bendis, pencils and inks by Stefano Casillier, and colors by Marte Garcia. I'm a little sad that the cover doesn't show what happens in the issue because I want to see her interact with all those people.
I want to talk about misleading covers.
Yeah.
I know, seriously.
Some Groot and Star-Lord and
Doctor Strange, Miss
Yeah,
Marvel.
Cho, Cap,
Little Bum.
Chala. Who else do you need? And who shows up? Not a goddamn one.
I personally love the beginning of this issue. The part that actually has Riri in it later is okay. It's following up from the last issue, but the conversation with her mom in the garage she's trying to reach Tony's AI.
Yeah.
It's heart-wrenching and it's thoughtful, and it makes you feel for her. And I think it's a very true to the core of what a mom would be, who wants to protect her teenage daughter, who she knows is smarter than her, is capable, who she realizes is a hero and can do this, but still wants to protect and have her little girl.
Yeah.
I think it's gorgeously written, honestly. I love the beginning. It was almost my pick of the week just for that beginning. The reason why it wasn't is because the rest of it with her and Pepper Pot and the weird tech ninja girl wasn't as interesting to me, though her assassin shield was great.
You didn't like the freaking glow-in-the-dark grave ninjas?
Glow-in-the-dark Rave Ninjas, yeah, with their like glow stick.
Yeah, dude, they're all...
You would think glowing in the dark would be a bad thing for a ninja.
They are foiled by Riri putting in a virus into her own suit, get it out of said suit, and sending it after them, and basically this crashes their whole system. Go Riri. So, yeah, she's using her smarts, not just her brawn of her suit, which is really cool. I still like that they show her being very inventive in how she handles things. Shield was pretty dumb and boring. Didn't care for that. I like that you see how she knows how to use a sword based on her stepdad teaching her how to fence.
She doesn't know how to use a sword.
That was the exact opposite point of that.
The whole thing is there's that cool moment of like, do I know how to use a sword? And it has the flashback to the training exercise, and she refuses.
I love this aspect where Riri's like, just because I don't want to join you doesn't mean I'm with Hydra. You know, like how they instantly go, well, if you're not with us, you're against us. She's like, I don't agree with a lot of the things you're doing, but I'm still a hero. I just don't want to sign up with you. I thought that was really important and a really strong message to send, I think, out there. Makes me proud of her. I'm like, go girl.
Yeah, she's like, I'm not going to be part of your demand freaking invasion of privacy bullshit. And that doesn't make me fucking Hydra fan, you assholes.
Yeah, basically.
It showed her as like a strong, independent character.
Exactly.
Is how I felt. And she's like, fuck you, I don't need
And I think
you.
it also kind of illustrates that a lot of the newer heroes are refusing to be drawn into like the old conflicts. You know, like we get that with Champions a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're like, fuck your stupid bullshit where you have to be in part of us being drawn into civil wars and heroes fighting heroes, and we're not doing that stupid stuff.
Very millennial of them.
And she networks. She makes an arrangement to talk to Pepper later. She understands her limitations and what parts and things that she needs to learn, and that she wants to basically pick Pepper's brain and fill in like areas and spots where she might not know certain things.
Anybody else notice that Deadpool was like,
Thank you.
He was.
Thank you for pointing that out.
His little head's all yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
He's just there chilling on the rooftop.
Deadpool was not on the cover.
No, he was not. I like the evil side eye that she gets from Tomeo as her helmet's coming down, the clamshell's coming down.
Yeah, that's good.
I love those 3 panels were great. That's right before the Deadpool like pop out. She goes home and she's passed out. She's tired, and that's just when her mom's checking on her, clearly showing her worry but trying not to be. I like it. She's like, you need to put Neosporin on the boo-boos. Oh, such a mom thing. Such a mom. I love that. I would. But they have their heart to heart and kind of see like a payout from that conversation earlier. Just a little bit of that coming through, trying to let her daughter be her the hero and give them space. The end. What the hell?
Yeah.
Tony AI is in his lab and he's there to talk to Friday, and she appears and she's like, you don't need to be a projection. He says, well, that's left over because you're originally a program. I'm a program of someone who was actually living. It's like, it's a little different. He gets that whole thing like weird Matrix vibes where the humans are the problem. They're the ones who are wrong.
It's a total Ultron response.
Friday looks a little... You're not really sure what her reaction... I'm gonna go with shock, but it could be like...
I view that almost like a processing.
So that was a weird ending to that, so not what I was hoping for, because I really like the kind of Tony banter with Riri when they were training. I think they really played well off of each other. So if he's kind of moved apart from that, I'm going to be kind of bummed. But I'm still super pleased with how Riri's turning out. I really like how they're portraying her, and like I said, the beginning was my favorite.
I gotta say, just to jump out there, it's like I really like Riri as the new Iron Man. You know, she's very much an independent character, much like Tony, but she's very different than him in a lot of ways. She's still got that like maverick spirit and stuff, which is great. I do like, we already talked about how I like how that she's basically just not falling in with the same groups and just like kind of like going, oh yeah, Shield, sure, I'd like to team up with you guys, like to actually have like a different response and be like, no, you guys are bad, you guys do all kinds of fuck bullshit, I don't want to be part of your thing. I like that. I like that with this character, she's not just an attempt at making a new Tony Stark. They're trying to make her different.
Yeah, she's definitely not Tony Jr.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's something I've really liked about Invincible Iron Man. I thought this was great. Great artwork, great story. They just keep on wanting me to come back. Every time I see Invincible and Iron Man pop up, I'm like, all right, cool. You know, can't wait.
I really like seeing her develop.
Yeah, they do a really good job.
Yeah, I think they nail the emotions between her and her mom really well, and the loss of her father. Those themes, they do really well. I do like her as a character. I thought the fight scene with the sword was actually really interesting. Kind of a twist on comic book conventions to the flashback to the training montage. Overall, I liked it. The art's beautiful. Very interesting twist at the end. I was a fan.
Yeah.
I am going to make a kind of a projection or a prophecy, we could say.
All right.
About Tony. They're making AI Tony be bad because they're going to bring back real Tony. The Generations thing, they've already said that they're going to bring back Tony, they're going to bring back Banner, they're going to bring back, 1,500 different characters. It's like, 10 books? And each one's going to bring back the classic, and then they're going to pair them up with their generational character, or their legacy character, so that they could have some sort of legacy building thing. But they're also have said at the end of the year, they're trying to bring Marvel back to be more of a classic Marvel thing. So I think real Tony's going to come back to fight AI Tony.
Gert better be resurrected, just saying.
Well, there's no young Gert, so I don't know how they would do that.
But there's a Runaways TV show coming out, so...
They probably will bring Gert back just because there's a TV show and they have to have a comic to back it up. I like the book a lot. The art was fantastic. The writing is pretty good. I'm not Bendis' hugest fan, but this is where I think that they should keep him, is writing single solo books that are not world spanning, because he's really bad at running a universe. He seems to be good, but then everything he creates, he fucks up. I've not been happy with the last 17 years of Marvel. Like, on a huge scale, I think that he's not done well with it. They've just been to this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing, and we haven't gotten any really good solo, like the characters' stories. Character development has kind of died in the last such and such amount of time, and their answer for that is, I'm going to replace them with a different person playing the same character. So I'm not a huge Bendis fan when Bendis has too much power. I think that his best stuff is when he writes a book that's just his little bailiwick all alone and not too big or heady of a thing. The only other real big problem I had with it is Riri's mom looks too young, the way that they draw her. She looks like a teenager herself.
She's hot.
I think she's a young...
Yeah, and Riri's only 15, so...
I'm one of those people who's a young-looking, almost 40. I'll be 40 in June, so I realize I'm a hypocrite saying this because I look like I'm in my late 20s sometimes.
It's what every guy in his 40s says, dude. It's cool.
But she looks ridiculously young. No, everybody's like, oh, you're like, what, 29? I get called a kid, like, often, and it's annoying.
I got carded a while back, so my audiologist thought I was a way younger than I am.
Hey, I got carded for cigarettes. Ha ha.
I thought that she was maybe Riri when I first saw her, because I haven't been reading this book. So I was like, who the heck is that? Yeah.
I think what you were saying about Bendis, especially with Iron Man, is there are two actual people who are perfect for Tony Stark. And one of them is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and nailed perfectly. And in the comics, Bendis is Tony Stark. Like, they just mesh perfectly together. So a lot of Bendis' characters end up sounding exactly like this, but for Tony Stark, this is exactly right. And he also nails Miles Morales perfectly, too. Other than that, everyone sounds alike. But in this book, I don't think that's a problem. And he also does manage to keep Riri with enough of a unique voice, too.
I think Bendis would fall over himself right away to have Tony and Kitty Pryde be together.
Does like Kitty Pryde.
And Nightcrawler, too.
That tail can go all kinds of places.
I was just thinking that, like,
I was going with a Weezer song, but okay, perverts.
Do you not listen to us? I guess let's rate it up.
I give it 4. It's the humans.
That's what I was going to use. Oh, total reversal. You're stealing from me.
Wahaha.
I will give it 4. Pray tell, what is that?
I'm gonna give it 4.5 random ass Deadpool in the background showing up.
We'll give it 4. These characters aren't in the book at all.
All right, so I'm swinging us back over to DC, over to Suicide Squad number 14. DC Comics, Burning Down the House, Part 4. There's actually 2 stories here, just like all Suicide Squad stories, right? So there's Burning Down the House, Part 4, Hit It.
Hit it, yeah. Takes 2 to make a thing go right. It takes 2 to make it absent.
Get our nerd karaoke at some point.
Yep, exactly.
Burning Down the House Part 4, Hit It, written by Rob Williams, pencils by John Romita Jr., inks by Richard Friend, colors by Dean White. Second story is Live Free Die, written by Rob Williams, pencils by Eddie Barrows, inks by Ever Ferreira, colors by Adriano Lucas. So this Suicide Squad story is continuing Rustam and his moves to basically burn down all the power structures in the world and, free the people from the tyranny of the chains of government and big business that are holding them in place. And he's engineered Deadshot to betray Suicide Squad and kill Amanda Waller, and Boomerang has assassinated another member of the Suicide Squad, and now Rustam has captured Flag and Katana and keeps offering them the same deal, which they aren't going for, so I don't know why he keeps offering it to them, because they're never going to accept that deal, right? So he's got them chained up, and they're standing in like the burning in Washington, D.C., and he's trying to tempt them, and they're not having any part of it. Katana swears that she's gonna kill Deadshot with her sword. One thing I do notice art-wise about this book is they don't do blood very well. The blood looks like paint or something. It just doesn't look liquid. It doesn't look like blood should look. So which artist's blood are you talking about? I'm talking about in the first story is where I notice it the most.
Vermita's. Okay.
And it's really distracting, actually. Otherwise, the art looks pretty good. The blood is not good.
Yeah, it's definitely some 90s comic blood right there.
Harley Quinn is back at the headquarters in Belle Reve talking to the new replacement for Amanda Waller, wanting to see the security footage for what happened to, is it Hack?
I think it's
Hack, yeah.
But they don't have the security tapes for it. Harley Quinn's not buying it, and she's pissed off. And the woman tries to pull an Amanda Waller thing where she's like, you have to listen to me. I run the Suicide Squad. And Harley Quinn's like, you don't run shit. The brain bombs got turned off. You have no control over us. And then she uses the brain bombs everyone has implanted to talk to them. Very much like her scene in Suicide Squad, where she smashes the windows. They're like, we're bad guys, this is what we do kind of speech, where she's telling them, we're not here to save the world and protect these systems, yet they're criminals and they do bad things, but this is about revenge. So she's kind of gathering up the rest of the Suicide Squad, and she gets the coordinates for where Rustam and his people are, and she arrives there in her jet and fights him with a big-ass hammer and gets fucking shot by Deadshot in the stomach, which obviously Harley Quinn is not going to die, but, dramatic tension as she's on death's door here from Deadshot. And then you kind of get the second story is really continuing the grand tradition of Boomerang being a total piece of shit. Yeah. About how he killed Hack, and now he's kind of at the bottom of his Australian giant thing of beer, which I do like that the other Australians are making fun of him for not being Australian enough. He's like, what do I have to do, ride a goddamn kangaroo into here? He's like, do you not see the boomerang on my head and all of that?
I thought he was in an American bar.
He's in Louisiana, and said that he was from London.
Oh, they can't tell the difference? I thought he was in the Outback. I guess hillbillies are the same everywhere.
No, that's why they got rebel banners in the background at the bar.
There was another issue, was it Super Sons, where Boomerang was actually in Australia.
That was in the Flash.
So he's been jumping around those really bad spider Crocodile Dundee dudes, yeah.
He's feeling suicidal and goes to fight Killer Croc, and I really like that picture of Killer Croc. He looks badass.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
so badass.
Where he says, gonna eat you.
Yeah, that one.
That one.
Boomerang is there basically trying to kill himself, getting Croc to kill him. And June is there, and she tells him that there's multiple layers, uses her magic and kind of looks into, I'm interpreting anyway, is looking into his soul as the Enchantress and asking him what he wants. And what he wants is to hurt someone, which is why he agrees to go with Harley Quinn to get revenge. Which is kind of weird that you're the traitor that they want revenge for, but you want to go with them. That part is kind of weird to me. but they end up landing in this, the same place where Harley Quinn is, and this is where you get the big reveal where Rustam is talking to them, saying, why are you fighting me? I set you free. And then Captain Boomerang's like, we'll never be free. And then you get this voice who's like, good job, like, know your place. And then you get this look of panic in Rustam's face where he's like, no. And then you see Amanda Waller step out of somewhere with a big ass fucking gun. And I like the end line where it's like, and on the third day she rose again. That was pretty cool to me. I enjoyed that. There's lots of things I liked in here. I didn't really like all the Harley Quinn stuff that much, actually, which kind of surprised. I didn't really feel that was used very well. But I did like the stuff with Boomerang, and I did like the reveal with Amanda Waller. So what'd you guys think of Suicide Squad?
I would say I really like the panel where it's Boomerang's either reflection or it's looking through the pint glass, because it looks even more drunk than if like a normal straight-on panel. I really did enjoy the hillbilly scene the most, and the swamp. I like the artwork for that section of the story.
I've always been a fan of John Romita Jr. I think that he works kind of well for this. I will agree with the blood thing, though. He's never really done blood right. It kind of looks more like she's got mud all over her than anything else, but that's not just his failing. That's also the colors and the inking. I mean, it's really kind of their job to add that layer in there. The artist's job is to say, there's blood here. And then it's their job, when it's a color book, to kind of pull it forward and make it pop out.
It's very flat. I think you're right about the coloring, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a team fuck up here. He could have done better, but they should have done better with that. The big thing that stands out to me about this comic, it's really fucking pissing me off that movie fucking sucked so goddamn bad, but this book is so goddamn good. And I don't get why this is true. The book is just really good. It's really deep intrigue and like a kind of a fucked up family feel that it seemed like they were trying to go for, but they just didn't do it right in the movie. But the book is just so fucking good. I really like this. It's not going to ever be a favorite book of mine, but it's on my list of, I don't hate that.
That's high praise from you, Matt.
It is. It is.
On that note, I would say I would like to wipe my ass with this fucking... Okay, so my take on it. Like, the artwork's good. I don't mind the artwork at all. It's not really this particular issue. It's just Suicide Squad in general. You're right. There is a lot of intrigue that goes on there. There's a lot of, they do put a lot of, like, depth into it. I just can't find myself giving a fuck about most of these characters, I really don't. I'm like, okay, yeah, they're gonna have their heads exploded if they don't go kill some shit or something. Yeah, great. I just never found it interesting, and I kind of like just drag myself through every issue, and yeah, they just haven't really done much to really make me want to care about these characters. Boomerang says lots of funny shit. Like Ryan, I really enjoyed how they made Croc look in this one. He looks just fucking immense and like what he is. He's a fucking ancient ass fucking mutated crocodile basically in human format. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't give a shit. I just really don't, and I just can't find any interest in Suicide Squad in any of their various formations. It's just sucked for me so far.
The whole Amanda Waller thing, it's like, it wasn't like this big reveal. It's like, yeah, we knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of when.
Yeah.
That's an editorial fail because they've got her still alive in other books. And then on the third day, she rose again. And I'm like, yeah, we know. We saw you over in Flash.
You can't have someone die and come back in the same arc, right? You really shouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's kind of lame.
I will give it 4, and on the third day she rose again.
God damn it!
I gave it mid-range, 2.5. Stay away from June.
I'm gonna give it 2. Know your place.
I will give it 3.5. That's a badass looking Killer Croc. So this week we've got Action Comics number 976 by DC Comics. No fucking duh. Superman Reborn Part 4, written by Dan Jurgens, pencils by Doug Monkey, inks by Jamie Mendoza, Christian Alame, and Trevor Scott, colors by Will Quintana. It takes 3 fucking people to ink this book. Jesus Christ, people.
So what do you think you are, Doctor Strange?
Yeah, seriously. Just pour some ink on it. There is a lot of black in this, the inks. First, before I get going with anything else, I'm going to say that they really should have changed the flow and the plot to get this story out an issue fucking earlier with 975 and make that the big issue. Putting this, I mean, this is an important issue for all of DC Comics, not just for Superman, because of what happens at the end of this particular book. And then it's just like 976, and I'm like, that's nothing. Wait 25 issues and put it in issue fucking 1000 if you're going to do anything. But don't skip a book. I'm like, come on, guys. So this story is basically the kind of summation, or I don't know if it's the ending of the storyline. Seems to kind of be, looks like there's going to be some different changes going on after this. We finally get to the end of the whole mystery of the weird Clark Kent, and then we start off with the, I'm sorry, kid, I don't know who your parents are, but we'll help you find them after we figure this all out. And I'm like, can you people just stop fucking with us, please? And then we finally get to a point which is, it's a little hokey kind of how they do it, but they have the blue energy, which is a throwback to the shitty blue electric Superman, and the red energy, which is a throwback to the shitty red electric Superman. But they've got the two kind of energy forms, and they state that the blue is the classic post-crisis pre-New 52 Superman. The red is the post-New 52 Superbro that had died, and then Lois Lane had also then died, and now we see why they died. They come back for a short little bit here, and then kind of merge together, kind of a little sneakily, because their blue counterparts just kind of walk up behind them when they're all like, I don't know who the fuck you are, what is this? I'll help you, but you know, I'm a super bro, I got stuff to do. And then they kind of merge together.
Look at my popped collar.
Yeah, my popped collar. Like, Dad, what's with your collar? They kind of bring them together, and much to the surprise of Mr. Oz, they merge together in a big flash of light. Both worlds, the New 52 and the post-crisis DC universe, just kind of go boom and smack together.
Oh,
and
those
it's fucking
panels
beautiful.
are great, where they have like all the...
Around the shield.
Yes.
You know, we've got the pre-New 52 post-crisis, they wear all black and their heads are covered and you can't see any skin. Jor-El and Lara. You've got the rocket, you've got it crashing, you've got all this kind of coming together, you've got the death of Superman.
I don't care how many times I see that image always gets to me.
The cape on the stick that...
What, her giving birth
No.
in the cave?
The cover of Superman number 75.
Death of Superman.
Yeah,
Death of Superman. Ugh. I had that with the poly bag and the armband, and my mom just threw it away.
Damn.
And, you know, we've got it all kind of coming back together again, and he's like, everything's going to be fine. We've got the new costume, which I really like. It's the New 52 costume and the previous costume kind of mixed together. We've got the red boots, we've got a red belt, but we don't have the weird armor lines. It's just spandex. No trunks for those people who love trunks, because it's just not going to happen.
And no collar.
Yeah, no popped collar. You've got his shoulders wide open, and his parents remember him again. Lois is a kind of brunettish redhead.
It's a pretty good cape there,
Yeah,
too.
it's a really nice cape. Gotta see them, everything together, and the families together, but in the end, Mr. Oz is all like, well, motherfucker, they did it. And we find that, you know, the worlds are all kind of together again, and everything's gonna be interesting, and then, okay, cool, see you next week, guys.
I really like those panels where they're talking about how things have been set in motion, and they keep kind of like showing you the moon to, I think, suggest Dr. Manhattan.
It's the red planet.
Well, there's like the moon, and then you see the red...
Yeah, Mars, the red planet. But I gotta wonder, if he's up on Mars, why didn't John Jones know about this? I'm just saying. We're coming to the head on the whole thing that's been happening since Rebirth with the mystery of Mr. Oz and who the mysterious bad guy that's fucked up everything is. And now that Superman has kind of partially at least fixed things to give people who liked the New 52 and people who didn't like the New 52 maybe a little bit of everything. Can't wait to see where this is going.
I thought the art was good. I especially like in the beginning you see Mxyzptlk and his fucking crazy eyes, that each one is different. The one is like the little classic like hypnotism swirl.
He's got the crazy eyes.
They do Mxyzptlk really well, and they keep modifying like his size and his position within this like world of unreality. I think they do really well with that.
In the world of pure imagination.
Yeah, I like seeing the end of this piece of shit.
Oh, come on.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
I'm going to stick with the exact same line that I stuck with last week, which is that if you're like a super historian and you know everything that's going on with Superman, I'm sure that this is great. For those of us that aren't super into like every little bit of history, it's like this is confusing and boring, and they stretch it on way too fucking long. And, you know, it's the different references to all the different shit that they have going on. Now that that had been explained to me last week, I'm just like, dude, do we really need another of the... I mean, this is basically the same, in my opinion. It's like they just drug it on another issue. Like,
I actually like all the family stuff and, you know, the parents and all that. And so it gave me the feels, and I do like them pulling in a lot of the history references. And those are the ones, like, the stuff that is like the classic story of Superman, like the origin, as it were, and like the key points matters to me. So, like, I love that panel, like you're saying, the one that has with all the bad guys in the middle on the shield and the panels going around explain. I really like that panel. And so I'm just glad that the kid's reunited with his parents, you know, and I'm glad that it's not Super Bro really. And like the collar went away because I was worried there for a minute. I'm like, no, got rid of soup, like a good thing. I appreciate that. I mean, I'm glad it's wrapped up because I was sick of being jerked around because some of those things were really harsh and hard as a parent to read.
So, what did you rate this one, Matt?
I give it 4.5 proper costumes.
I will give it 4.5. You two are everything to me.
Oh, yes.
I'm gonna give it 3 issues too long.
Ouch.
I gave it 4 lives realigned.
Nice.
Yay.
So, those were the books we read this week. To check out our podcast, Broke Gaming and Cut the Cord, as well as other nerd shenanigans, go check out fourcolornerd.com or our Facebook page. You can also follow us on Twitter or Instagram. You can find the podcast on iTunes and Google Play Music.
On Stitcher.
On SoundCloud.
And on Podcast Addict.
Be sure to rate,
Review.
And subscribe.
come back next week for another episode. Until then, keep reading, nerds.
No, I'm never gonna dance again.
Guilty feet have got no rhythm. Time